this old banger.
I would help, but I'm doing the filming.
Now I'd love to get Heidi's engine bay way more full than it is now. This is quite an interesting product. Out comes the grinder to nothing. The last time you saw this old banger on the channel, I made some decent progress, but it's fair to say there were also quite a few loose ends that were left untied. Since that last video, I've brought a load of stuff over to this garage from my other garage.
I would help, but I'm doing the filming.
I've also had some bits through the post, so in this video I'm hoping to make a ton more progress and tie off some of those loose ends. Now I'd love to get Heidi's engine bay way more full than it is now by the end of this video, but we'll leave that for the minute because I want to start by having another look at this little issue that I showed you in the last video. We've got a bit of a crack in the fuel tank there. It's right at the top of the fuel tank, so it's not the end of the world. You could just say this is another breather hole, just like this one. But yeah, this would let fumes into the cabin potentially, so it's not ideal. I don't think fuel is ever going to be high enough for it to sort of slosh out of there. But yeah, I'm not happy fitting this tank with that crack in it. And I was just going to replace the tank. It's worth noting that this thing will be getting an alloy rally style tank at some point in the future, but yeah, I'm stubbornly going to try and fit a standard tank for now. Now, as you can see, I've already cleaned this area up with a wire brush on a drill, and I've got a product from my friends at Kent Europe that I reckon might plug this hole up. So what I've got here is some Kent Europe patch and bond steel, and this is quite an interesting product because it's essentially like a chemical metal, I suppose, but yeah, it's a two-part product, but one part is actually inside the other part, so you literally cut a bit of this off and then mush it all together. You know, this is like Play-Doh, and then it starts activating, and when this sets, it is rock solid. I remember when my good friend Colin, who used to work for Kent, was telling me about this product, and he was saying that you can cut a tap in it if you wanted to and then thread a bolt into it. I think it can be overpainted, although I'm not really you know, I'm beyond worrying about this tank being mint now. But yeah, I reckon this stuff should be strong enough to plug that hole and essentially just stop any fumes escaping. I'm pretty certain that this is oil and fuel resistant. So yeah, let's give this a go. With a small piece of the patch and bond cut off, I just need to squish it in my fingers to activate the two parts. Then I can lay it over the crack in the tank and prod it with my fingers so that it's nice and flat. Whilst it's going off, I'm going to turn my attention to the bracket, which has been fouling on the tank. Out comes the grinder to do a bit of butchery, and I think I've removed just about enough to give the clearance I need without compromising strength. So in goes the fitting in the bottom of the tank, and out comes the pump bracket so that I can get the tank installed into the car. But the tank bracket still rubs on the tank. With a bit more cut off it and the tank reinstalled, I can now bolt it in using the white nylon spacers. And with the pump bracket back in, it's job done. Or is it? Alright, tank is in, but nothing's done up tight, it's all just finger tight, but this tank will definitely have to come out again at least once more. First of all, this bracket, although it doesn't rub on the tank, this white spacer is fouling the Kent Europe patch and bond steel stuff. But I reckon I'll be able to file that stuff down a bit to give that spacer clearance. And when I do take the tank out again, I'll do a better job of bending that bracket back into its position, Now I can do that because the bracket itself isn't fouling on the tank. The other reason I've got to remove the tank is because whilst I was doing this, that black seal has fallen down. So yeah, that's sitting underneath the tank. I have plugged my multi-plug for the fuel pump back in, and I've temporarily hooked up this earth to that bolt, and I've got the actual earth, which is that side of the multi-plug, now screwed on to the body of the fuel pump, because I want to test the fuel pump in a minute. But yeah, now the tank is in place underneath the tank, it means that this fitting is now in place, which means I can make the AN line that's going to go from there, and it's probably going to go into the boot through the boot floor here. But I'm still waiting for a couple of bits that I need to make that AN line. Now I was actually considering, whilst I've got the grinder out, to modify this bolt on slam panel where needed to fit my alloy rad. And I did trial fit the alloy rad earlier on, and it works well with my cutout that I welded in, although that cutout is only just wide enough to clear the rad, so that's all good. But I remembered when I was lining the rad up that I can't really decide how high the rad's going to sit until I've got the engine in, because it's all determined by where the bottom hose for the rad is in comparison to where the engine is. So I can't finalise bolting the rad in yet, which means I can't cut this out yet, because I want to cut this out, you know, just enough. So that can wait until later on in the video, but what I want to do now is test those relays that I wired up in the last video. So yeah, spare fan ghetto rigged up. I could just use a multimeter to show whether the relays are working, but yeah, this is way more fun and silly. Oh, it's worth noting as well that I was wrong to have these fan wires coming into here, because the fan is on the back of the radiator. So yeah, them wires will just need to come around here when I actually get the rad fitted. All right, so I've got the ECU ghetto rigged up as well. This power wire from the ECU relay that I showed you in the last video is hooked up to these red wires for the ECU, and then the black ground wire I've just got going to here temporarily. If I turn the ignition key on and then turn this switch on, then these switches should activate the ECU and the fuel pump relays. And I can actually hear them clicking on over there, but the fuel pump didn't make any noise. None of the fuses are blown. I've just realised what I haven't done. All right, so the actual 12-volt feed to the relays, which is this wire, wasn't hooked up to the plus. So that's why the relays were clicking on, but no power was being sent to the accessories. Fuel pump made a noise. I don't want to run it while it's dry any more than that. And we'll see if the ECU light does come on. Yeah, I don't think that. Oh, light did come on. I think it might be my dodgy earth. Right, it seems to be pulsing. Yeah, I thought it was a loose connection, but it's just pulsing. So the ECU is powering up as it should. Just turn that back off. But the fan obviously won't operate until the fan switch is activated, which is these two wires here. So if we touch these two together, nothing, but the relay is clicking. Maybe these are around the wrong way. There we go. The wires have actually just twisted themselves together. But yeah, we saw the fan working. So that means all the wiring that I did in the last video, wiring up those relays, was actually correct. Happy days. All right, seeing as I can't really do much more in the boot until I've received some more parts through the post, and seeing as I can't really do much more in the engine bay until the engine is installed, I think I'm going to chuck the ST170 into Heidi's bay, which is patiently sitting in this other garage waiting. This is going to be a breeze with the slam panel out of the way, but before I install the lump, I need to bolt on my freshly painted mounts. The Kent Europe nut lock on the thread of the bolts, combined with my FT torque settings, should stop the mounts rattling loose. After a clean up of the back of the block, and with a bar on the front crank pulley, it's time to get the flywheel installed with ARP bolts, which need Loctite on the threads, and then some ARP lube under the heads of the bolts. With the bolts torqued to spec, and the flywheel cleaned with brake cleaner, it's time to refit the paddle clutch along with a new to me pressure plate. I am of course using an alignment tool and torquing the bolts to spec, And voila, the engine is as ready as I'm willing to get it to go into Heidi's bay. In the lump goes with a little bit of brute force on one of the mounts, and there it is. It definitely fills the bay better than that little crossflow did. Here I'm making a start on some of the wiring, but now it's time to get the radiator mocked up in a position that means both radiator hoses aren't interfering with anything. With the radiator bolted in securely, and after a bit of head scratching, it's time to butcher the slam panel a bit so that the radiator fits nicely within it. Back onto some more wiring, but now the radiator fan doesn't work. I do have a spare, but it's a push type, so needs to go on the front of the radiator. The lack of slam panel and these plastic fan mount things make the job a breeze. And with all four of those mount things on, the fan is nice and secure. With my wiring moved back to the front and a multi-plug added, it's time to test. And success. Alright, well, it's a big moment for any project when you get the lump in the hole, even if your lump looks as ropey as this one does. Doesn't go with the mint engine bay at all, but I've got a few ideas to make this look a whole lot better, even though I'm hoping this engine is going to be a temporary measure. Seems to be invaded by a swarm of flying ants around here this evening, which isn't ideal, but we'll crack on. Still a load of work to do with hooking this engine up, but I don't want to go too far because I haven't got the gearbox on it yet. I actually haven't even got a hole in my large gearbox tunnel yet for the shifter, and I still need to sort out some sort of custom mount as well. In terms of adding all the electrical connectors that I need, I think the only one left is for the fan switch, and the way that I wire my fan switches up is I use one of these, which is a H7 bulb connector, but it goes on a fan switch if you just open up the terminals, you know, separate them slightly, and yeah, these actually go on just like that. But this one is a little bit broken, and I've ordered another couple off of Amazon which haven't arrived yet. So once I hook up that, that's all the electrical connections made that I need to make. I'm not hooking up the plug and play loom for the ME100 ECU yet because I know none of that needs to be adjusted. That just needs to be plugged in. Still need to hook up all the plumbing properly and stuff, but as I say, when the gearbox isn't even hooked up yet, none of this is at any rush at all. Really glad that I've now got the rad fitted, and I have managed to cut this slam panel quite neatly. I'm happy with that. This all sort of moves around, so when it's all bolted together, it all ties in nicely, and the gap is roughly even. I'm going to take this slam panel home with me and just carefully smooth out the edges where I've cut it, and I'll just give those a little coat of epoxy primer, and then the slam panel will get blown in beige when I get round to painting a load of other bits that I'm planning to paint beige, and potentially, but hopefully not, touching up any of the paint on the bodywork if I break through when I'm polishing. Yeah, a bit annoying about the other fan not working. I would prefer to have a fan on the back of the rad because, you know, having it on the front restricts airflow a little bit to the rad, but I had this one in stock, so it makes sense to use this, seeing as the other one stopped working. But yeah, really happy to see this engine in the bay. Now I have removed the fuel tank again off camera, and this little repair that I've done is literally solid. I'm pretty certain that that is going to be adequate. I have shaved away a little bit of it with the grinder, which should make space for the white spacer. But to be honest, I don't think it's a massive deal if that white spacer's leaning against that little repair patch. While the tank's out, I will push this bracket back a little bit more though. And I need to remember to slip this in place and not let it fall whilst I'm fitting the tank. All right, tank and pumps are back in, and this time the seal is in the right place. I've put tape over here because the cap I've got is no good, so I'm going to order one of them tonight. But yeah, hopefully this tank won't need to come out again, but we'll have to see. I'm still waiting on some bits for me to finish all the plumbing for the fueling on this car. I'll do that all in one go when them bits arrive. Yeah, I've got to roll of hose here, for instance. But after today, I really need to focus on getting INSTA ready for the Ford show, which is in a matter of a few days. So I am going to end this video here. As always, massive thanks to everyone who's tuned in. Do give the video a thumbs up if you haven't already, because it's a massive help. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. As always, check the links in the description to follow and support me elsewhere on the internet. If you want to drop me an email, my email address is in the description as usual. Huge thanks, as always, to my patrons for your ongoing support. But other than that, until next time, thanks for watching.